What's up guys? In today's video I'm going to teach you and I'm going to show you how to create an app with Android Studio. It's something very cool and different, and yeah, let's get to that. So what is the first thing that you have to do? First of all, you have to download Android Studio on its latest version, and you will be in a screen that will look something like this. Not exactly like this, but something like this. What you have to do is to press new project. So now that you pressed new project, the next thing that you have to do is to create an empty activity. So we click here, we click on next, and now we have to give it a name. We have to give the application a name, and we are going to call this example. And here we have the package name. You can leave it like that, like there's not an issue. You have to choose the language. We are going to do this in Kotlin. And here we are going to use the R version, like this version. Like you can do this with until the 26, I think. Like this tutorial is okay if you do it until the 26, but we are going to use this version. So click on finish, and now you are going to see all these things. Like everything is being loaded. Like you have to wait a little bit, but yeah, we are creating now the project. Okay, so it looks that now everything is loaded, and let's see a little bit the structure of the project. First of all, you have several ways to see this. So for example, now we are watching this in the Android way, like here you can click Android, but if you want to see how the files are how the files are really saved, you have to come here to project. So here you have all the directories and the same structure as you have if you were with the file explorer. But when you are in the Android mode, like the IDE makes it better for you to see what you want to see. So for example, now you can see that these two files have been created, like main activity. This is a Kotlin file in which we can put logic. In fact, in this file, we are not going to put anything. And here we have this XML5 in which we have all the design of the app. So basically here we can put a lot of things. But in this tutorial we are going to work with fragments. So for this reason we are not going to use this main activity, and let me explain you this now. In order to work with fragments, what you have to do is you need an activity which is going to be the container of the fragments. So you just need one activity, and in this case it's going to be the main activity. You don't need to do anything else in this file. This file is going to stay like this. But since we are going to put several activities here, we need to set this in that way. So how do we get to this file? So you have to go to here to the res. This res means resources. Here you have drawable, which are icons, layout, which is this one is where we have this kind of files. Bitmap, I don't know what it is. And values, you have, for example, a string, colors, etc. So here we are going to come to this file, and now instead of watching this in this way, we are going to come to the code. And we are going to take all this out, well, except that first line, and we are going to put here layout, because this is going to be a layout, and here we need to import some things. So for example, we are going to put XMLNS Android, and here let me check that this is okay, because I don't know everything here. Yeah, this one. And we need to do the same for app. So let me see. Okay, that's correct. And here we are going to put HTTP like this. And this is wrong. Let me correct this. LNS. And now here we are going to load the schemas, and we just need the rest out. So this is everything this file is going to contain. So this is the container, but we need to load the things to contain things. So here we are going to put Android X drawer layout. Let's load this, and here we are going to put match parent, and yeah. So we close this, and now it comes finally the container. So you can put here fragment container. Okay, it's not auto completing me everything. Yeah, Here we have it. And here we can put match parent, I think, yeah, match parent and match parent. You can come to my GitHub, and in fact, I have this new repository in which I have this app. Like, I have everything I'm going to do here. So you come to app, and here you have the code, etc. So yeah, that's it. So what else do we have to do? We have to define a name that we are going to define later, because this name refers to the navigation part, but we are going to do that navigation part later. So let me put here name, and let's put here at to do name, and that's it. And yeah, I think that for now this file is okay. We will do that later when we come to the navigation part. So now let's create something cool, which is the fragment one. So this app is going to be very simple. Like, we are going to have one screen, and then we are going to have a second screen. And yeah, how do we do this? First of all, since we are going to work with fragments, you can come here, click right click, and come down here and click on fragment. So the fragment is going to be blank. Here the name is going to be screen 1, and we are going to do the same for the screen 2. And you have to wait a little bit because this file needs to be here, and everything is being loaded. You can see that the XML is already here, but we also need to create another fragment, which is going to be the second screen. So here we are going to put fragment blank and screen 2. So let's go now to the code and let's see what we have to do here. Like, this may be very complex because we see a lot of things and delete everything. So what do we do inside here? So now that we have both screens loaded, what we are going to do is to remove all the code. So for example, we remove it from here and we remove it from here. And for now, we are going to come to the XML part, to the design part. So let's create the design for the screen, for the first screen. And first of all, you need to realize that we are not going to do this in this way. So for example, here, we are just going to put layout. This is going to be a layout. This screen 1 is saying complaining because I don't know why. And now we are going to create a relative layout. So the relative layout is the layout that is going to contain the elements. And I don't know why this is not letting me delete things. So let's delete everything. And here let's put relative layout. This needs to match the parent. Let's close the relative layout. I think I have to delete this as well. So we delete this. And now here, that's okay, we are going to put the things that we want to put. So for example, first of all, we want to put a text view. And what is a text view? It's basically a message, a string that we want to put in the screen. So this text view is going to wrap the content, like the width is going to be enough for the content. Then the height is going to be the same, enough for the content. We put that with wrap content. And then we need several things. So for example, we need to set the text. So for example, we can put here Android text. And here we could say like screen 1. We are going to change this now because this is wrong, because we should use the strings resource that we have here, because this is very useful if you want to have several languages. But for now, let's leave this like this. Let's change the size of the text, and here we can put like, I don't know, like 50 sp. And what if we want this to be in the center of the screen? What I recommend you is you put here center, and you have centering parent. You put it to true, and that's it. You have it now in the screen. So what is the next thing that we have to do? I think that we should define the string that I told you. So instead of putting here screen, we are going to access one string that we are going to define here. So here we are going to put string name. Let's put msg1 for the screen 1, something simple, screen 1. But what if I want this to be in several languages? What I can do is to come here to values, new values resource file, click on locale, click here, and for example, since I'm Spanish, I'm going to put here click here and put Spanish, you leave this in any region, and here we are going to put the same name as in a string. So for example, here we put strings, and now we have to redefine all the strings that we have here. Let me remove this to do. All the strings that we have here, we have to redefine it. We redefine them, so we can do this. Now example is going to be ejemplo. Hello Black Fragment is going to be like that, but here we can put pantalla. So now if your phone is in any other language, it is going to use these strings. But here we have to use that. So instead of putting here a screen, we have to access to that string file and take the string that we want. How do we do this? We are going to put string, and here now we need to put message1, the name that we gave it. And you can see that now it's saying the same, string1. So that's fine. Let's close this text view, and now let's create a button that will take us to the other screen. But for now, we are not going to put the logic behind that. So here we are going to put a button, is going to wrap the content, and yeah, I think that we don't have much things left. So we can put here that is going to be also in the center, but you can see that now we are going to have an issue, and is that, hey, these things are in the same place and we don't want that. So how do we fix this? First of all, we need to give an ID to the elements of the screen. So for example, to this text view, we can give it an ID by putting here ID, and here we are going to put that this is going to be the message. And here in the bottom, we are going to put that the ID of this is the button. Is going to be called like that. So you can see that the string, well, the string that you need to put is basically the arroba in Spanish plus ID. The plus is very important because it means that you are creating a new ID. But we haven't still fixed that thing that I told you. How do we put this below here? As I said, below. There's a property here which is called layout below, and I think that this is here because we are using a relative layout. So now we are going to say that this needs to be down the text view, down the message, and you can see that everything has been fixed. But what if we want this to be separated a little bit? So we can put margin, and margin means separation in every part, like up, down, left, right, in every part. And here we can put 10 sp. But since we just want it to be here, we are going to put margin top. So okay, we almost finished with the button, and here we should create a string for that. So here we can put the string, and let's call it, well, this is going to be a string, and let's call it next. So it is appearing here like this because it's not created, but if we come here to the strings file, we can come here and we can create a new string. Let's create a new string with that name. So with next, and we are going to put here next. Now it's telling us that there's an error because it is not translated to Spanish. How do we fix this? We come to the strings Spanish file, we copy this, and now we put siguiente. And here you have that now you don't have any mistake. So now this is fixed and we can close this. So this file is finished, but now we need to create the next file. So the next fragment is this one, and it's going to be very similar. So for this reason, we are going to take this. We are going to take it and put it here. And now let me change this to screen 2. And instead of screen 1, we are going to change the message and we are going to put screen 2. So here we need a new string, which is going to be string 2. Message is going to be message 2. Here we need to translate that. So we put here pantalla 2 or dos. And yeah, so now in the fragment 2, what we need to do is that we need to change all these things that we set. So for example, this is going to be a 2, And here the button is going to be, instead of next, we are going to put back, but we don't have this defined again. So we come here again, we are going to put here back, and we have to translate it into the Spanish file. So we put here atrás. And now everything is fine. So if we come back to this screen, you can see that it's back. But let's give it an additional functionality by putting another button. So we are going to take all this, we are going to copy it, and now we need to change this to this is going to be the change button. And here, this layout is going to be below the button that we have here, the back button. We should put here back button, but yeah, let's leave it like that. And here, instead of back, we want a change string. So here, again, we are going to create another string. You are going to see that I'm going to create lots of strings, but I think that this one is the last one. In this case, the Spanish file, let's put cambiar. And let's change the name, change. And here, in the English file, we are going to put here change. So we have finished, I think, with this, and now we can start with the navigation. So how do we start with the navigation? First of all, you need to import some things in Android Studio, and I'm going to show you this, but this will be in the description of the video. But basically you have to come to Gradle scripts. First of all, you are going to come to build Gradle, the project one, not the module one, and here you are going to put several things. So for example, you come here and you put build, I don't remember this, so I'm have to look for this, ext, then Kotlin version equal to 1.4.31 and ext navigation version, because we are going to use the navigation version, and this is going to be equal to 2.4.1. well, the 2 I think is the last one. Then we are going to use the repositories, Google ones, and dependencies. So dependencies. So this repository I think is not needed, but the dependencies are. So for that we are going to put class path, and we are going to put Android X, and you maybe navigation. Okay, navigation save arcs generator, yeah, this one, to 4.2. So this is for this file. We basically need this. I'm not sure about this, I don't think we need that, and these two. So okay, now in the module one, in the module file, we have to add some dependencies as well. So here we are going to put implementation, we are going to put Android X navigation, oh, this is a dot, navigation fragment, and is this one, KTX242. And here instead of this we can put navigation version, so it uses the version that this application is currently using, not another different one. So the next thing that we need to put is implementation, and now we put android.navigation, and I think it's now navigation UI, and this one is KTX, and yeah, this thing. So instead of this, again, we are going to put what I said here. So we copy that, and finally we need to put some build features, and well, this is for data binding, but this is later. So now that we have all this, you just click here on sync now, and if you have any mistake, it will tell you. I think that is simply that this must go up. So if we try again, okay, now it's not complaining, that's good. I think that everything is working fine. Okay, we have more errors. And here, navigation, I forgot the G. So we click again and let's see if everything is working fine. Okay, so you can see that the build was successful and now we can play with the navigation. So in order to create the navigation, you have to come here to res, click on new. Let's create an Android resource file, and here you have to change the resource type. So you come here to navigation and let's call it navigation. So now this will be created and this is very useful. And now we are truly able to fix this activity main. So first of all, we need to give it a name, as I said here. So we are going to put here Android name equal to Android X navigation. I don't remember all these things. Navigation fragment nav host fragment. Okay, so that's fine. And now I think that we need to put also up nav graph. Sorry, because I don't remember by memory all these things and I have to check, and I have to put here navigation / navigation, and finally default nav host is going to be equal to true, and we can close this. So now everything is fine, and let's create the navigation. It's something very simple. So you come to this file and you click here, and now you have to set the files, but as you can see, it is just telling us the main activity, and we don't want to use that. We want to use the fragments that we created. So we are still missing something. And what is that something that we're missing? We are missing these two files. So what do we have to put in these two files? First of all, we need to declare a class. So the class is going to be called screen1, and let's change the name of these files. Let's change this to fragment. What is the reformat, refactor here, rename, screen1 fragment. And here we are going to put a screen2 fragment. Screen2 fragment. So now that we have this class must inherit everything from the class fragment. And yeah, that was imported, that's good. And here we just need to create one method, which is the onCreateView method. So whenever the fragment is created, we want this to do something. So here we are going to put override function on create. This is without capital letters. Create view. Yeah, it's down there. On create view, and we don't need to do this. We are going to do here the listeners for the buttons, but there are several ways of doing the listeners. There's a class called the R class, in which we have all the information related with the screens, but it is not very like, there are much more simpler ways to do this, because here we would have to refer to everything. And imagine that you have 100 elements here. You have to refer to 100 elements using, for example, one line per element, and that may be a little bit crazy. So how do we do this in a very simple way? We need to put data binding. And how do we do this? So for that, we come again to the build Gradle, and here, instead of build types, we have to put build features, and this is, I think, with capital letters, features, and this is data binding equal to true. I'm not sure if it's like this, like with that capital letter. This will tell us if it is wrong. Okay, apparently this is okay. So now we come here to the fragment one, well, to the screen one fragment, and instead of looking by IDs and doing this, like for example here we have the message change button, no, we are not going to do this. What we are going to do is to bind everything. And how do we bind everything into one variable? So first of all, we are going to create the variable called binding, and here we need to import one library, which is the data util binding, well, what a binding util. So from this, we have one method which is inflate. So we are going to inflate the binding by using another class. So here we need to import, I was fragment screen1 binding, okay. And now this receives some elements such as the inflator that we have it up there, here. We also need the layout. For this we need the air class, so for example air ID and the layout. So this is not ID, this is layout, and this is the fragment one. And now we need the container. And finally we need to set this to false. So with this we have everything bind in this variable, and now it's as simple as putting here binding about a dot, and here you have the button and the message. So with the button we are going to add a listener. And what is a listener? So we want that whenever we click this button we do something. And how do we do this? We put set on click listener, and the thing that we want it to do is going to be going here. But let's define the navigation, because I'm saying that I'm going to do it and I don't do it. But for example, I think that we need to do exactly the same here in the screen2 fragment. So here we are going to change the one for choose, and you are going to see that this is going to be very, very, very easy. So instead of screen1 here we put this. And yeah, so now we come back to the navigation file. Let me check if everything is correct. Okay. And here is telling me an error, I don't know why. So we can remove this by the moment, and we will do this later because it's telling me that there's an error and I don't want to have an error here. Yeah, we need to return the binding root. And yeah, that's it. I forgot that we need to return this. Okay, so now we come to the navigation part finally, and we put here this, and now we have both as fragments. So for example, we put this one, which is going to be the initial one, we put it here, and then we put the screen2 fragment, and just that's it. It's very simple. Now we set the action. So for example, we come from the screen1 to the screen2, and we can come also from the screen2 to the screen1. And we put that by that. But this is not very useful. Like, only this draw is not very, very, very useful. You have to come to the code, and here, in order to see which fragment is this one, we are going to use here the layout. And the layout is going to be, this is the fragment one, and in this second case the layout is the fragment 2. That's it. And yeah, the next thing that we need to do is to use these actions that were created in order to go from one screen to another. So we are going to go to the fragment code, and here we are going to continue with the listener that we didn't finish before. So here we are going to use find. Well, it refers to the view, to the current view, which is the button, and we are going to say it, and find nav controller, because we want the navigation, that thing that I told you before, this one. Let me see. Yeah, we want to take, for example, this action, and for that we put this, and here we are going to say navigate using this action. So this is taking the R class ID and the action screen1 fragment to screen2 fragment. So this is how we navigate, and we can continue by using the screen2 fragment, and here we are going to basically say the same, but instead of, well, let's put it here, instead of going to the fragment 2, we are going to go to the fragment 1. It navigation, it was not find nav controller, and now we are going to use the navigate, and we are going to navigate to the air ID action from a screen2 to a screen1 fragment, and that's it. But we are going to do something different with this second button. We are going to change the text here. So how do we do this? We are going to do this by using a listener. And here we are going to put binding, and here is not button. Change set on click listener, and we are going to put here, okay, we don't need to go anywhere else, but what we are going to do is binding message, and we are going to access to the text property, and we are going to do something cool. So if the text of the message equals hola, we are going to write here adios. Otherwise, we are going to write there hola. Let me copy this line and let's put here otherwise. We are going to put here hola. And basically, I think that we finished the app. I don't think we don't need anything else. And in order to try it, I have here a Pixel phone. So let me open it. And there may be issues. So let's see if everything was correct. I think that everything was correct. So there shouldn't be any issues. And let's wait until the simulator loads. So I think that I forgot to put here an ID, which is nav host fragment. So let's see if this works now. And here I think that I have to put ID drawer layout. So let's try again this. And okay, finally. So I forgot those two IDs, and if we click next, we go to the other screen. If we click back, we go to the other, like this, very simple. And in here, if we would click change, we change the text, and yeah, it is this simple. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you understood how to create this simple app, and if so, give it a like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.